So even though I'm trained as a craftsperson, my background is in crafts, it's what I studied in school, lately I've really been thinking of myself more as a designer, and I've kind of been aligning myself that way. So much of my reading and my research and my teaching in particular over the last 5 years have really been about design, the design philosophy, the design process, and that's where I've really been focusing my energy. But at the same time, I've been feeling this little bit of disconnect because my jewelry, I think, doesn't quite live up to the design standards that I've been seeing, that I've been looking at, that I hold my students to. And I've really been thinking a lot about this disconnect. And the other weekend I went up to New York City and I walked ICFF, which is the International Contemporary Furniture Fair, and I kind of had a revelation. So I realized that there are many different aspects of design. So the kind of design that I have really been researching and reading about is what I would consider problem-solving design. This is design that starts with the problem. You go out, you identify something in your world, something that exists that you don't like, and you figure out, how am I going to solve this problem? And that's the way that I teach design to my students, and that's the way that I think about design. But there is another aspect of design, and this is this idea of what I would call aesthetically or emotionally pleasing design. This is design that works because it's nice to look at or it's nice to experience. It's all about the piece itself and the aesthetics or the emotion that it evokes rather than the problem that it's solving. And what I'm realizing is that's more what the jewelry that I'm producing is about. It's about the aesthetic and emotional experience that you get from seeing the jewelry and from wearing the jewelry. Now, I think that there are a lot of people in the design community who privilege one over the other, and I'm not saying that it's always the same one. So I think there's a whole group of people who are really all about the problem-solving design. And then there's a group of people that are really all about that kind of aesthetic, experiential design, stuff that's beautiful. And I don't think one is good or bad, but I definitely think they're different. And for me, I think the reason that I tend to think about and teach the problem-solving design is that that problem-solving design is so much easier to put into words. Problem-solving is based in language. And so we can identify a problem, and when you can identify a problem, you can clearly articulate it. And then you can articulate not only the solution, but you can articulate the benefit that your product provides to your customer. So it's actually a lot easier to market problem-solving design. This aesthetic or emotional design, it's a lot more tricky because it's rooted in a part of our brain that isn't tied to language. It seems like every book that I'm reading or listening to right now, they talk about the limbic brain. And this is the part of your brain that controls emotion. And it's not the part of your brain that deals with language. So when we try to articulate what goes on, what we're feeling, what we're thinking, what we're experiencing, we can't do it because it's not tied to language. And so we have to sort of talk around things. So for me, this is something that I've become really cognizant of, and it's something that I'm going to think about moving forward, is do I privilege problem-solving design in my own research and teaching because it's so much more tied to language? And because it's so much more tied to language, do I have a hard time, I have a harder time articulating this other aesthetic and emotional design. But I'm very, very interested in how this emotional design, how to talk about it, and how to articulate the benefits to people. So I think that there is value in this aesthetic, in stuff that's emotionally, designed to evoke a specific emotion. And you can see right now I'm kind of stumbling over my words. It's really hard to talk about this. But I think it's a conversation that I want to have a lot more. I really want to delve into why it is that we are drawn to certain aesthetics, to certain styles, to certain products. Is it the way the product looks? Is it the way the product feels? I think for me, a lot of people really love my jewelry. I really love to wear my jewelry, but I would never call it, really, really problem-solving design. But I think it's very well designed on that other level. So hopefully in the future you'll see more from me as I kind of talk about and explore this idea. But I'd also love to hear your thoughts. Do you feel like there's a difference between this problem-solving design and the aesthetically pleasing design? Do you see one as being better than the other? And what can we do to help articulate the value of aesthetically and emotionally pleasing design more? So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for listening.